I got a TED Talk from
I saw that.
talking to the producer of a photo shoot that we were doing for the Totes Project.
Oh yes, Michele and Faye.
Yes, love them.
I worked with them on another thing I used to do. Yeah, they're great. They're amazing.
We're like always connected in some kind of way.
Yeah, they're amazing.
But yeah, we did a photo shoot for them after our graduation. And the producer was just like, because I'm just smiling, that's me, beaming all the time. And she's like, well, what's your story? She said, do you mind if I record you? I'm like, no, it's fine. Then the cameraman and her were crying after I told my story. And then I was in another program called Dwell Collaborative. And that's a OT program, occupational therapy program. And we go to that program right after 2 Wings. And we were talking about boundaries or compassion or something, and they played this TED Talk. And
Your TED Talk?
No.
Oh.
this lady's TED Talk. And I'm glad I don't remember, but it was annoying.
Oh.
Because her nose was whistling the whole time, and it was boring, and I was just like,
what?
And they were like, Tika, you don't want to watch it? I was being so stubborn that day. I was like, no, her nose is whistling, and it's irritating me, and I just want to be done with it. So they talked about me that whole day, Then literally 3 days later, I get a call from the producer of the photo shoot. And she says, would you like to come and speak at my TED Talk event? Only in my life will something like that happen. I talk about someone's TED Talk and then I get one myself. Great. But that was...
That's what you get.
Yeah, that's what I get, right? So now someone's going to talk about me. Luckily, my nose wasn't whistling. But that was like one of the highlights of my life right there. That moment, standing on that stage, made everything that I went through okay. And, it gave me purpose through my pain. If every woman can't come out and tell their story so people can understand, from service providers to law enforcement to just community members, if they're not in the fight and to where they can hear someone's story, I was a vessel in order for them to hear it. And that gave me so much at that moment. And it made me want to go forward and, be transparent and be vulnerable and let people hear my story or let them ask questions, let them understand. So, yeah.
What was that like for you? Because I imagine doing something like that would be scary for anyone. And correct me if I'm wrong, at that point in time, had you been open with your story? So what was that like for you?
No, I literally was I think I spoke at three engagements that were like very small, very intimate, and then mentoring with the girls. That was it. I was nervous. I had a coach that wanted me to write out my speech. And then, as you can see, I'm a talker. I'm not necessarily a writer.
That's good for a TED Talk, though, I feel like.
Yeah, but they weren't happy about that because they wanted to see a first draft and they wanted to coach me through it. And I was just like, I can't work that way. And going to the actual event, I was late.
Oh, of course.
I was literally...
What are they going to do? Start without you?
Right. I was going to go on in 5 minutes. I pulled up in the front of the theater, ran out, talked to the lady. It was like, okay, how much time do I have? She said, you have 5 minutes. I said, okay, I got to go to the ladies' room. Ran to the ladies' room, ran back out, got mic'd, and went on stage. And everything that's on my TED Talk was freestyle.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea of what I was going to say or how I was going to say it. I knew what I wanted to talk about, but I didn't know how it was going to come out. I was nervous until I went into the ladies' room to check myself and make sure everything was okay. And then I got mic'd, and then as soon as I walked on the stage, I was like, wow, this is real. And then it came out. I was supposed to be on there for 7 minutes. I was on there for 14. But yeah, it came out better than expected.
I had no idea that, because I've seen it, I had no idea that was impromptu.
Yes. Yes. I'm like with another Monique Calderon. She is a 2 Wings graduate as well. And she was asked to do a TED Talk. And we're in the think tank at Loyola, University, and she's going over her lines and she's practicing, and people are sending in their speeches to go on the
Prompter? Mm-hmm. I wondered if they had prompters.
Yeah.
They do.
And
I'm like, they have to. Some of these, I'm like, there's no way they.
And then they're like,
that,
okay, so Tika, do you have cards? Do you want me to add
Nope.
your speech? I'm like,
No, I don't.
no. And we had a rehearsal beforehand, and they were like, do you want to go up? I'm like, no. I just came to come say hi to everybody. And I thought I was going to like totally bomb, but I was very proud of how it came out.
I mean, that's a talent to do. Like I said, I've seen that. I'm in the industry and whatever, and so like to be able to improv like that and that clearly and that well with your message, that's a real talent. Is that something that you want to keep doing? I mean, you're here, like media or so, you're great at it.
There's a couple thoughts. Yeah, politics, maybe.
Oh. Okay.
It's just a thought. I don't know.
Just popped in my head right now.
The public speaking, motivator of some sort.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm preparing myself for what could happen, but I have no exact plan on what is going to happen. Life has just been showing me the path that I need to go on, and in this point of my life, I'm trusting myself and trusting my instincts and intuitions and just going with the flow right now.
When you had the BuzzFeed video too, right? Was that before or after the TED
That was
Talk?
after. The BuzzFeed video was, I thought it was going to be something different than what it turned out to be.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Because there were a lot of interviews with a lot of other people. And I thought that I was just going to be a part of, that video. But it turned out to be the Tika show. And it was very surprising. It was very emotional. And both of the videos, the BuzzFeed and the TED Talk, came out within days of each other.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a very overwhelming moment. I was tagged on Facebook, and my father never heard my story. So that was very hard. Because my father is doing well. I'm very proud of him. He's been sober and clean for some years now. And we're getting our relationship back on track. And, especially on Facebook, that's how we connect every day. And he saw the video. And he was heartbroken because he didn't know. So that was rough. My brother always known. My mom, I didn't really care to explain everything to her. Just because of how our relationship is. We're great now, but we don't talk about the past. We still need a little bit more work before we can work on that part of our relationship. I just take it for what it is right now. Where my dad is apologetic about everything, and my dad is still the sweet man that I've always known my whole life. I never seen my dad on drugs. He left, and I'm grateful for that. At first I didn't understand why my dad would just disappear without coming to visit or to call. But now I understand it. You know, he didn't want to taint that image that I had of him. You know, my dad was everything to me growing up. You know, he taught me how to read, taught me how to ride a bike. He taught me everything about animals and about life and about love. My dad taught me everything. He was my first love. And for him to leave, and then my mom's like yelling at me, I'm like, who are you and where's my daddy? You know? So it was a huge hole, huge void in my life. But when he came back, it was just like, we got right back on track, you know, because he never changed. He's still the sweet man that I've always known my whole life. And, you know, we're silly and we love music, and music has always been our conversation piece with each other. So what we do when I go over to see my dad is he'll sit down in front of his computer and he'll play music, and then we'll just sing. And, you know, he's like, oh, do you hear that part? And then, you know, he'll talk about the music, and it's just like, it's great. But when he heard that video, when he saw that video, he just was like, I didn't know. And he was crushed. But I just tell him, you know, I'm a lot like my father. My father went from being a drug addict to becoming a drug and alcohol counselor. So he took something that he went through in his life to help other people. So to hear that I was a victim of human trafficking, and now that I help women, he's like, you're just like your daddy. I'm like, yes, daddy, I am. So, yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the episode. If you're interested in contributing to the conversation and supporting the show, there's 2 easy things you can do. 1, click subscribe, and 2, visit our Patreon page where you get exclusive access to the Exploring Minds community.